Today we'll be talking about the autonomic nervous system. This is the part of the nervous system responsible for control of the bodily functions not consciously directed, such as breathing, heartbeat, and digestive processes. The autonomic nervous system consists of two different components, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic outflow originates in the thoracolumbar region of the human body. This extends from spinal segments T1 to L2. Parasympathetic is referred to as craniosacral, meaning that it has cranial components and also sacral components. The cranial nerves which are involved are 3, 7, 9, and 10. The sacral regions that are involved are S2 to S4. Now let's take a look at how this information stimulates body processes both between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. The components consist of two different neurons between the CNS, central nervous system, and the PNS, peripheral nervous system. Beginning with the preganglionic neuron, it leaves the ventral horn and then forms a synapse in the ganglion. The ganglion is a structure containing a number of nerve cell bodies, normally connected by synapses. It then transfers on to become the postganglionic neuron. This affects whichever target organ it received information from, like a blood vessel, or a muscarinic acetylcholine receptor. This is a type of receptor that can act as the main end receptor from a postganglionic fiber. From there, the information will either go to a beta-1 receptor, which are located in the heart and can increase heart rate and the strength or contraction or contractility of the heart, a beta-2 receptor, which are located in the bronchioles of the lungs, or an alpha-1 receptor, which are located in the arteries. Now let's take a look at ionotropic versus metabotropic receptors. Ionotropic receptors are transmembrane molecules that can open or close a channel that would allow smaller particles, like the information we talked about previously, to travel in and out of a cell. Metabotropic receptors, on the other hand, are connected to a small chemical called a G protein, and once the receptor activates the G protein, are then transferred to another molecule called a secondary messenger. So you might be wondering where this information would be and where it would be sending stimuli to. In the case of the sympathetic nervous system, the ganglion might be in the sympathetic chain of the paravertebral ganglia. In the case of the parasympathetic nervous system, something called the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve which interfaces with the autonomic parasympathetic control of the heart and digestive tract, transfers information from the brain to the heart. Now let's look at neurotransmitters. First of all, there are two main neurotransmitters to consider, acetylcholine and noradrenaline, or norepinephrine. In a model of the sympathetic nervous system, we have a preganglionic neuron and a postganglionic neuron. Beginning with the preganglionic neuron, we have acetylcholine, which is the first chemical messenger, and is used to communicate by containing sympathetic effects. For example, it can make hair stand on end or can stimulate sweating. In the parasympathetic nervous system, acetylcholine is secreted in the postganglionic neuron. This can affect smooth muscle and glands. Now let's look at the adrenal medulla. The adrenal medulla is actually directly affected by the preganglionic neurons of the sympathetic nervous system. As you can see here, the nerve fiber travels directly to the adrenal medulla, which then secretes adrenaline, which is produced by the body via modification of noradrenaline. After the presynaptic neuron releases acetylcholine, it can act on nicotinic receptors. These are responsible for transmission of nerve impulses from motor nerves to muscle fibers. The stimulation in the adrenal medulla signals the adrenaline to be released into the bloodstream. Now let's look at functions of the autonomic nervous system. In the case of the sympathetic nervous system, we have heart rate increasing, contractility increasing, pupil dilation, and bronchioles dilating. In the parasympathetic nervous system, we have heart rate decreasing, contractility decreasing, pupil constriction, and bronchioles constricting.